Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to this session titled Digital Innovative Solutions for Sustainable Urban Logistics. I'm your moderator for today for this session. My name is Yannick Bousse from the European Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency. I'm here together with my co-moderator, Yanying Li, who is the Head of Programs and Knowledge Management from ALICE. ALICE is the European Technology Platform for Logistics and Supply Chain Management Innovation. First, we could say maybe a few words about this session itself. So, urban freight and logistics really play an essential role for the functioning of European economies. However, the actions, we need more actions, I would say, to reduce these CO2 emissions coming from urban freight and logistics, but also to provide inputs to prepare and implement sustainable urban logistics plans and also sustainable urban mobility plans. And this is really crucial to reach essentially zero emission-free urban logistics in European cities. We have, in this session, we will discuss these various solutions and results coming from sustainable urban freight and logistics. And we have here these groups of projects which you can see here on this slide. And this will include how urban logistics can tackle the requirements of the on-demand economy. This includes related to shared, connected, and low-emission technologies. We then have a cluster of projects that are looking at new delivery methods and business models that can cut urban road emissions. Finally, we'll also have a set of projects that will present how we can enhance urban planning through digital tools to anticipate freight demand. And we have with us here today 6 representatives from these projects. They will provide these presentations. They will each have 15 minutes for their presentations. And without further ado, I think we'll go into our first speaker already. So let me introduce our speakers. First, we'll have the Senator project, which will be presenting. And for that, we have Angela Nunes. Angela works at Correos, and she's working between the international affairs and also the environmental, social, and governance teams as a European project manager and also a sustainable mobility expert. In recent years, she has focused her experience on European projects related to innovation, digitalization, sustainability, and these projects have included Post, Low, CIT, EcoGate, Senator, and Food or Us. Then we can go to the first presentation. So Angela, please, if you mind.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for this opportunity. I think it's the second time that we present this project in this conference. The last was 2 years ago. So now we are almost finishing the project and we have more results to share with all of you. Just to introduce the project, we are 11 partners from 5 different countries with a 4 million euros budget. We have 2 postal operators, the Correos Group, formed by 3 different companies, Correos, Correos Express, and Correos Telecom, and Post as the IRS postal operator. Both city councils, Zaragoza and Dublin. Universities, we have the University of Deusto and also UCD from Dublin. And our IT partners, uniquely to Deusto, are software IT specialized on big data and IT developments, and .gis that have been mainly working on the interface of the platform. MDS Transmodal mainly focus on the economic exploitation plan and and so on of the platform. Rina as a urban experts and urban planification experts, and Zabala Innovation team helping mainly with coordination and communication and the social part of the project. I will not go in deep with all the objectives, but I will resume all of them in just 3. To have better cities is a principal one. Second, to have a useful tool for the city council to have empowered and more informed decisions. And third, a tool for logistic companies. At the end, the aim and the spirit of the project is to connect different stakeholders with the same objective of having better cities, which has been very complex. But here we have the results, and it's a solution that we have been developing for the last 4.5 years. First of all, this objective of have better sustainable and mobility and sustainable logistic and urban mobility plans for the city councils. This tool allows, through this screenshot that you see on the right part of the slide, includes a density map of shipments and also density traffic map too from only freight transport. This connects to the city councils and includes on the same solution 4 different schemes: logistic companies, city councils, infrastructures, and the transport planning. It also includes the possibility of modeling or shifting from more traditional petrol combustion vehicles to electric vehicles, including low emission zones on the modelization, as we will see later. And we have many challenges, mainly related to IT integrations and GDPR, because we had not only to integrate the information from different postal operators or logistic companies such as Correos or Correos Express or En-Post on the same platform, which has been really complex because postal operators are used to deal with millions of shipments and millions of data. But innovation with millions of data is not so easy, so we had to adapt to this new system, to this new platform, and integrate to this solution. And secondly, data protection restrictions. We had to anonymize the shipments, and I mean the shipment code. We couldn't share it with the platform, so we had to transfer the code. Secondly, the exact position, we couldn't share it, so equally, we had to anonymize it, even including a 5 meters of error to anonymize it. Once it happens to us that one shipment appeared in the middle of the river, but it was just once. And also information from our vehicles, because in Correos, our postmen use vehicles that are of the company, so we have GPS traceability, and we include this information on the platform. Equally, it was very complex, and we had to integrate it and to inform all the postmen about this information that was going to be shared, etc. Standardization, this is mainly related to integration to the platform. What data we are going to share, which format, etc. And we tested 2 use cases of blockchain. One of them related to Internet of Things, because we had the traceability of cold deliveries through the chain, and also freight traceability, because we will see later that one of the use cases that we have tested is to share freight among different logistic operators. It's one of the functionalities available on the platform. We will talk about now in the Zaragoza Urban Living Lab, the first pilot, or Urban Living Lab. It's split in 4 different phases, or 4 smaller pilots. One is related mainly with consolidation and optimization. Here we have compared First of all, the question was, what if in Zaragoza we have two different companies, I said Correos and Correos Express, they are daily working on the city. Can the platform have better optimization than the companies as a whole? And the answer was not as much, or it was not as clear. And I mean, the companies are quite efficient on their daily delivery. So secondly, what if we zoom to a particular area? What if we zoom to routes, particular routes? And the answer was yes, you have benefits in optimization routes, up to 30% in some cases. The platform proposed solutions including more shipments and less kilometers. And that's what we tested in 1B pilot. One pilot is split in 1 A, B, C, and D pilots. So we had an increase in the efficiency proposed by the solution compared to the traditional distribution network. The next step was, what if we mix both logistic networks from Correos and Correos Express, and to see how it works. The results were quite positive, but the problem was the time needed to the solution to have the results. It took us 1.5 hours to have the information as the platform was needed, because we had the information, as we said, is the quality of the information. It's closely related to the type of the shipment that you have. Letters have not much information, and parcels are high quality informed. So it took us 1.5 hours to have all the information standardized with the shipments from that day. And the second, and once all of this information from two companies was included in the system, it took 44 minutes to have the optimized routes. So this was a problem for the real pilot that we have for 1D. At the end, we had to develop this pilot with historical data from previous days. The solution was quite good. It was tested in Zaragoza with no experienced postman on delivery. And it was tested with an app that was developed into the project. You see on the left part of the screenshot the app. It included traceability in real time of the shipments, a map, a digital map to identify the point where the postman is, and the list, of course, of the shipments with the optimized route to follow. Savings in some cases were not sorry. We had savings in both scenarios in Zaragoza. The details are included in the deliverable that we later we will explain. And second, network balance. The functionality we developed for the platform was to be able to share the shipments among different companies in real-time distribution. It was developed for one company with the same vehicles of the same company and among different logistic companies. Third, a regional market consolidation, as in the center of Zaragoza, in Mercado Central, they have many problems at early morning in distribution because they have the train, they don't have much space in the city, and the proposal was to consolidate all of the shipments for the market in one logistic company. And we were able to include a proposal with 200 of vehicles less, 2.6 tons less of CO2. And the fourth part is the smart management for loading bays, developing Zaragoza City Council. We also have a similar pilot in Dublin. Here we have some screenshots. On the upper part, as I said, both visualization of density of shipments and traffic density related to vehicles, to freight vehicles. It's integrated with real time with the vehicles that we had. And in the other part, we had the indication and the platform that was developed and integrated to book the spaces for loading and unloading bays. Here we had a short video that I don't know how to play it. I don't know if we have enough time. Yes.
In the heart of our bustling cities where life never stops moving, a multitude of challenges awaits resolution. Delivery trucks need space just as pedestrians, cyclists, cars, and buses do. How can we make it work for everyone? How do we tackle challenges of congestion and pollution now and in the future? That's where CINEA comes in. We are a European-funded innovation project trying to find smart solutions to improve logistics with the objective of making our cities better. CINEA's testing ground? Dublin's streets, where innovation meets reality. Implemented across various city centre locations, our pilot programme focuses on 3 initiatives aimed at optimising urban logistics and streamlining city operations. The first, digital curbside management, led by Dublin City Council. Think of it as a digital map that helps us use curb space smarter. It entails a detailed listing of curb assets and regulations, showcasing usage patterns. This asset repository is accessible to all relevant stakeholders. It empowers informed decisions to optimize curb space utilization that will ensure safety, efficiency, and accessibility for all. The second pilot, the Smart Loading Bays, is led by Dublin City Council in partnership with UNPOST. Smart sensors have been strategically placed within designated loading bays and provide delivery drivers real-time availability updates. The sensor data is available to drivers via an app that will help them to find available parking spots. This will result in less circling, less pollution, and more efficient deliveries. The third and final pilot, led by UNPOST, focuses on simulating an urban consolidation centre. CINEA is conducting theoretical trials simulating urban consolidation, a process of combining multiple smaller shipments from different delivery companies into larger ones. This practice aims to optimize transportation efficiency and reduce costs by maximizing cargo space utilization. 3 urban scenarios will also be simulated for their effect on distribution logistics. These are zero-emission zones, pedestrianisation, and the use of micro-hubs. Thanks to the 3 pilot initiatives implemented in Dublin's real urban environment, CINEA continues to lay the foundations for smarter, more sustainable urban management practices for a greener tomorrow. The urban planning platform for sustainable logistics in cities. CINEA, the future of cities starts here.
For the Dublin Urban Limit Lab, as you have seen, one of the most significant achievements of these pilot initiatives is its inclusion in the National Pathfinder Programme, an initiative by the Department of Transport that identifies 35 pioneering projects across Ireland aimed to reduce carbon emissions by 50% by 2030. And also the Senator project, specifically in Curbside Initiative, has also been recognized in the National Demand Management Study, Moving Together, a strategic approach, improved efficiency of the transport system in Ireland. And I will not go much in depth because we don't have much time. In the Dublin, in the part of the Urban Consolidation Centre in the Ireland pilot, we had many problems because the integration in the pilot of different companies had three major barriers: IT integration, the problem with missing shipments was not resolved to share load among different companies, and third one, the laboral conditions of the people in different companies. This problem was not the same in the Spanish pilot because we were different companies, but in the same group. That's why in the Urban Consolidation Center in Dublin, the pilot at the end had to be theoretical. So this is one of the big insights that we had in the project. And I'll start with point 3, and it's the agreements. If we want to share logistic networks, it had to be included or impulsed more agreements among different companies, because that's the key. The technology needs to be improved. We need to improve our IT integration, our IT developments, but that can be solved. The key is wanting to have better cities and agreements among different companies. Digitalization is not already solved, but we are a step further from the point that we were 4 years ago. And we strongly believe that the future of this kind of solutions is closely related to AI. And that's it, because we don't have much time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. I noticed particularly in the slide that we had before with the various projects, of course, Senator was one project which was also funded with 2 other projects, which was ULAD and LEAD. Those have already finished. You are still ongoing, but you will also be finishing quite soon. And there's also some very interesting links between what you were presenting here now and also other projects which started later, which we will hear from in a moment now. For example, the control tower approach, there's links there to Greenlog. The curbside management also has a very strong relation to the cluster of projects on urban planning and digitalization with UNCHAIN and DISCO. So it's quite interesting to see the relations and the links there. So thank you very much. So then we will move now to our next presentation from our project, which is the UNCHAIN project. And for that, we will have Elena Garcia presenting. Elena has a PhD in civil engineering from the UPV in Valencia, specialized in the transport sector. Since 2022, she is coordinating innovation action projects in the field of mobility at ETRA, and currently she is the project coordinator of UNCHAIN, which is a Horizon Europe project that will contribute to sustainable urban logistics and the decarbonization of cities. Elena, please, over to you.
Thanks, Yannick. It's a pleasure being with you. As Yannick has said, I'm working at ETRA, an industrial company in Valencia, in Spain, and I am the project coordinator of UNCHAIN. Starting with the overall presentation of the project itself, let's say that we are 18 partners in our consortium, coming from 7 European countries and 1 associated partner from the University of Ulm from UK. Among our partners, we have with us 3 living labs, 3 city council from Madrid, from Berlin, and also for Florence, but as well 4 additional city council from Mechelen, Prague, Riga, and Funchal. This is like a big extended of Europe that we are into our project, and that will test all the services and the innovative actions that we are developing. In addition, we will have 3 peer cities that will scale and transfer and upscale the solutions that we are planning to demonstrate into the project. The total budget is over 8 million euros, and it started in May 23. So we are on half of the project, so we are not so advanced as Senator, and we don't have such many results, but I'm going to try to explain you how we are working. Thinking on the objectives of the project, first of all, the idea was to establish or to set the foundations of the logistic ecosystem, identifying and understanding the user needs, all the stakeholders' user needs. In addition, we are, the three next objectives are linked with the key exploitable results that we are developing. The first is the collaborative framework. We have already developed a data space based on the ITS architecture. And now we are currently developing the 12th innovative service, linked or focus or split into two main groups. First of all, about policy making, to help in the land use distribution, to help the urban planners to better distribute the cities itself. But also we are working in innovative service to contribute or to help into the management of the logistics companies. We are starting with the demonstration phase, but since we are still finalizing this innovative service, we are just in the first phases. And finally, we are going to upscale and transfer the results obtained in the project into the peer cities. Right now, the results we have achieved are, as I say, the foundations. We have identified the user needs. To do so, our partner, IBB, has made two analysis. On one side, the qualitative analysis and also the quantitative analysis. The qualitative has been split into two. First of all, the ethnography, which is analyzing the social network, analyzing the comments in there, in Twitter, and from them they have identified the user needs, the user satisfaction of the logistic ecosystem. First of all, Berlin is the city more satisfied with the logistic operators, followed by Florence, and the last one is Madrid. The Delphi was carried out among end users and also with logistic professionals. The end users consider a barrier the punctuality of the logistics distributor, also the quality-price ratio, and the quality and professionalism. Concerning the logistics distributions or companies, for them the main barriers are linked with the public management legislation and the lack of infrastructure to better provide their solution and to make them provide enough space to adapt, to be balanced with their needs. The quantitative analysis was held with a survey that was constructed by a panel expert. The main difficulties the logistic operators highlight are, again, the traffic management and the lack of loading and unloading bays, and also the delivery of the product in good condition, and the customer satisfaction are also important requirements for the logistic companies. Another foundations or another analysis we have done into the project was to analyze or to read or to identify the SAMP and the SALP of the cities that we have into the project as partners. The logistic ecosystem has three different groups. One group which belongs to Madrid, Florence, and Mechelen, which is a central core of the city, and in the suburban areas, the industrial zones or areas. Different is the city of Berlin, which has a core city, but also micro-logistic hubs in all the suburb areas. And the third one is Prague, Riga, and Funchal, and they had a central core with limited urban logistic infrastructure and logistics micro depots. Concerning the regulation, the access regulation, the cities has three different types. On one side, Madrid and Berlin, which has low emission zones. They only allow to access to specific areas those vehicles that are not pollutant, that are zero emissions, or that has specific limitations in the noise and pollution, etc. Other traffic zones, the limited traffic zones in Florence, Mechelen, and Funchal, And also, Prague and RIG have a weight and time frames restrictions. In addition, coming or being part of from the state of the art, we have identified from other projects, from other logistic projects, the KPIs from the SAMP, the SALPs, and other logistic projects, and we have finally get a list of 41 KPIs. They are grouped into the 3 main groups that is written in there: the land use, the environmental and social impact, the traffic management, and the service efficiency. I have attended to one specific webinar made by DISCO linked with the KPIs, and we have in mind to have some common KPIs to get common understanding and common results or compare results among or into the 2 projects that are under the or funded under the same call. One part of the project, which is the first key exploitable result and also a core of the project, is the data space we have already developed. The data space aims to allow a secure, standardized and interoperable framework that public administration and also logistic operators could share information that are confidential but under specific agreements or specific conditions. To do so, the data space we have developed is based on the ITS architecture, International Data Space Association. The data space consists of 2 main, the broker, the dApps, etc. But the idea is that each city or each company or each beneficiary has its own connector. The connector is the way we communicate each other. My connector asks your connector if I'm a company or an entity that you trust in, and you can share in this case, the confidential information. If the connector B says yes, I can share with you the information. If not, you are not allowed. Yes, I think this is the main idea of the ITSA. We are developing the connectors, and we are making the first proof or the main the starting training of the how it works and if it works properly as it is running right now. Let you know that at the beginning I haven't told you that we have with us, a part of the 7 city council, 2 logistic operators, which are DHL Spain and UPS Italy. I think it is an added value of the project because we are going to test the services under real condition and with real distributor companies. The cross cooperation with projects, we have had a specific cooperation with DISCO project because we are funded under the same call. With the SOM project, we are planning to have a specific webinar with them. We had also had some communication with the MetaCads project because they also have the dynamic curbside management concerning the Scale-Up project, which is an H2020 project. They also had a logistic route planner, which is one of the services we are developing into the UNCHAIN project. And we have participated in the Civitas forum, meetings, etc. And we are part of the ALICE liaison program. The expected impact, since we are on the half of the project, we don't have too much to say about that. We are developing the methodology to evaluate our services. We are planning, or we expect to go a step forward in the logistic data sharing with our data space already developed. We aim to make a beneficial use of the data space for public administration and also for the logistic operators with the services we are developing currently. And also, since these services are being modular and innovative, we can adapt and we can better fit with the needs of the different cities, and it is easy to scale up these these services. And the idea, the main aim of the project is to identify and to know that this is a win-win situation for public and private sector. If they collaborate all together, if they share information, if they share data, we are going to have better cities for logistics and also for citizens. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. I thought it was particularly interesting, your slide about the data spaces and how you highlighted, indeed, you have some large logistics providers which are taking part in the project, and they're also committed to providing their data. And I think it would be interesting to keep an eye on that in the next stages of the project. And there's also, again, the links to other projects here. Of course, there's Disco, there is Greenlog also developing their data spaces. So thank you very much for that. Then we go to our next project, which is the Disco project. And for that, we will have Paola Agostino. Paola is a senior project manager at Fit Consulting in Italy, with over 10 years of experience in managing projects related to transport and mobility. Currently, she's the project manager of several research and innovation projects funded by the European Commission, but also at national level in Italy related to transport and mobility. And she's also the technical project manager of Disco, which is coordinated by Fit Consulting. So, Paola, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Yannick. Very happy to be here to present for the first time Disco, that as FT we are coordinating. Let's see, okay. Disco, as UNCHAIN, started almost 2 years ago, so we are in the middle of the project. We are, as you can see, a small consortium, just 47 partners, which is easy to manage. We have 8 living labs that are divided in 2 stages, so the starting and the twinning, and then we have a final stage with the early adopters. But starting and twinning are the ones that are going to implement the measure. What is Disco about? Disco is about to upscaling to a new generation of urban logistics using a physical internet-led approach. This is to promote to favor cities towards the digital transition and also the zero emission transition. Today, since we are in the middle of the project, so we do not have yet very concrete results, I will give to you an overview of the main objectives. Then I will show to you the 2 main technical outputs that are foreseen for Disco and are ongoing. And then I brought few examples of the measure that we are implementing. So, as I said, regarding the objectives, the idea is to define a new social, inclusive, and physical internet-led toolkit. So, basically, all the measures that we are going to implement are based on the concept of pooling resources in an open, connected, and trustworthy environment. Then, of course, we have several other main objectives, but this is at the core is the principle that I told to you. We have several different targets, but I would say that the most important is the one to try to decrease the barrier that the cities, the municipality, but also the stakeholders that are around the cities have in sharing their resources. Resources that can be of different types, because can be infrastructure, can be data, and so on. Now, let's talk about the 2 main technical outputs that we have. One is the metamodel suite. The metamodel suite is made by 23 measures, grouped in 5 Disco X. each Disco X is going to cover one of the aspects of pooling these resources. So we have, like, for instance, Disco Proxy, which is going to work more on lockers, urban corners. We have Disco Estate, which works more on flexible logistic hub. We have Disco Curb, which is on curbside management. We have Disco Bay, that is on multimodal hub. And we have Disco Collection, which is related to the sharing of data. What is concretely the Metamodel Suite? The Metamodel Suite is a digital platform that is going to help and support cities in understanding which measures are the best for them to implement. So basically, with the data coming from the Starring Living Lab, we are training this tool, and then the cities that can use this tool are going to answer to a questionnaire, and based on their answer, the tool is going to suggest them, okay, the best measure for you is Disco Curb, for instance, and then mention also to the city which type of tool within Disco Curb can be useful for their situation, which type of data are needed to implement this measure, and so on. Then we have the other main technical output, which is the URBANfreight data space. As Elena already anticipated the concept of the data space, the idea is to have an ecosystem of data sharing which is in a trustworthy environment. So we have, as you can see in the picture, different entities, for example, cities, logistic operator, that they have their own data. And then we have the measures that are going to consume this data. The owner of the data remain the cities, the logistic operator. So they can put their data at disposal only under certain conditions. And the tool, the application within the Disco X can going to use this data through this agreement. Here you can see the first release that we made a few months ago. So in the first release, we connect two cities, Ghent and Thessaloniki, and we create an ad hoc app. So it was not one of the ones that we are using in the measure, just to check that everything was working. Now we are working on the second version, where in the second version you can already see that there are a couple of applications that coming in this case from the Ghent urban access control and the Disco Estate of Thessaloniki. So this will be in the second version, and in the second version we will have also the other two cities that are going to join the data space. Now, a few examples of the measure. I could not bring the 23 measures, but just to give to you some ideas on what we are doing. In Ghent, one of the measures that they are implementing is the so-called urban access control. So basically, within the transport management system of the logistic operator, they are integrating the access rule to the different zones of the cities and also the parking rules. In this way, the logistic operator can plan well in advance which means of transport to use, at which time, and so on. And also, the urban access control give support en route. So in real time, if there are any situation that requests a deviation or a rerouting, the urban access control is going to notify the logistic operator. Another example is the one in Thessaloniki. Actually, here I would say is a combination of two measures, Disco Estate and Disco Proxy. What's going on here? Basically, we have what we can call Airbnb for real estate. So the real estate owner that have some areas that they are not using, they can put on this platform these areas that are available. So the space is empty. If someone wants to book, reserve this space, can do that. On the other side, we have the logistic operator that can reserve this space. And this was the case. We tested this approach with the Expo in Thessaloniki. Basically, the Expo in Thessaloniki doesn't run in full operation for the whole year. So they have some space that is underutilized. On the other hand, the logistic operator, which is ACS, which is the biggest in Greece, needs some space close to the city. So they reserve this space and they move there their storage, which is just 3 kilometers from the city center. Another example of collaboration pooling resources is the one in Helsinki. In Helsinki, they run a micro hub in the ground floor of a shopping center. So in this micro hub, they managed to put together two logistic operators, DB Schenker and H2P, which is a local logistic operator. DB Schenker is not a partner of DISCO, so it was the job done with the stakeholder. And they are sharing the delivery through cargo bikes. Then, in the same hub, we have also some robots for last mile delivery, and this is in collaboration with the URBANE project. And then we have there a service point from DHL. So they are working all together in this hub, and actually the experience of DHL was quite positive, and they are still running there the service point. Then last example is from Copenhagen. In Copenhagen, one of the things that they have done is to put in place a digital twin. They signed more than 20 agreements with the logistic operator. So they are feeding the digital twin with the data coming from this logistic operator to simulate some scenarios with possible measures to decide which measure to include in their SALP. So based on the information that they got from this simulation, they prepared a draft of the SALP. So this is an idea on how to use the digital twin as a planning tool. Finally, my last slide. As I said, we are in the middle of the project, so quite difficult to talk right now about the impact, but I hope to be here in a couple of years to present to you all the results. Of course, there are several impacts that we expect based on the results. I would say that, as I already anticipated, the main impact is related to the involvement of the cities and the stakeholder in decrease some barrier that they have. We are also working now a lot with also net zero cities, because the idea is to try to include urban logistics more and more in all the environment of the emission cities. That's it from my side. Of course, if you want to catch up later on, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Paola. Going through your slide about Helsinki, I thought it was very interesting to see how, in this case, these two projects have really complemented each other with DISCO and URBANE, and each having a way to kind of find your own inputs into the Living Lab. DISCO focusing on the smart logistics micro hub, and URBANE focusing on the autonomous last mile robot itself. I think it's a good example of finding synergies between the two activities that you have between the two projects. So thank you very much. Next, we go to the URBANE project. And for that, we have Rod Franklin with us. Rod is a full professor of logistics practice at Kuhn University, Logistics University, in Hamburg. And Rod research focuses on supply chain efficiency, sustainable operations, data analysis, and physical internet, and the application of digital technologies to supply chain management. So please, Rod, over to you.
Thank you, and thank all of you for coming to these sessions here. I think that one of the big issues that we all have to face is the issue of urban logistics and urban environmental damage that we are seeing all the time, and improving, I think you hear in the projects here, many, many different ways of trying to address those issues. URBANE is a little bit further along than the DISCO project. We started a little bit earlier. So we do have some results, and I'll talk about those in a minute. The URBANE project is a fairly large project. Again, multiple project participants, focusing on demonstrating technology that can be upscaled to improve the urban environment through more efficient logistics operations. We have started, we have 40 partner companies, organizations, and we are covering 13 countries. So it's not a small project at all, and it has been quite an interesting journey. If we take a look at what we are trying to achieve in URBANE, we want to achieve efficiency within this, in the cities. Efficient delivery for the benefits of the citizens, improved operations for the benefit of the logistics service providers, and an integrated environment with some brand new or at least evolving technologies that are being proven as beneficial to those individuals in the cities. Our results, I will be very honest, we've had some very, what I would call supportive cities working as our living labs, and our results have demonstrated the improvements that can occur through the application of good common sense and some rather innovative technologies. So if we take a look at our first living lab, Bologna, a 3% reduction in, or 3% improvement in our congestion. We've seen decreases in emissions through the use of innovative last mile delivery. The Bologna city center was the focus of our project. And in the city center, we established several locker areas where goods would be delivered and then picked up by cyclists or electric vehicles, and then final delivery performed out of those lockers. All of it being managed through a centralized system. And it resulted in some very positive improvements to the effect that the city is going to go forward and implement further these technologies after the project is done. Helsinki, you already heard, we implemented in Helsinki a roboticized delivery process, and that was an interesting effort for several reasons. One, if you can think of Helsinki up in the north, robots going in the middle of the winter, this is a big challenge that had to be overcome. We also had to worry about city regulations, where can you mix automated robotic delivery systems with humans in a process. So quite a few challenges that needed to be overcome, but again, very positive results out of the project. And the city is moving forward, as you heard, with DISCO in additional advances that it's looking at to try and continue the success that was demonstrated in URBANE. Validolid, we reduced almost to zero the amount of emissions because we went from a traditional way of delivering with carbon-based fuel delivery vehicles to ones that were fully electric. We implemented as well operations where we look at zones in the city with digital camera examination to ensure that vehicles coming into the city, into these zones for delivery are authorized vehicles to be in those zones. In other words, they are electric vehicles. It was a very, very interesting project, and it continues to be something that the city is quite enamored with and has plans to continue. If we look at Thessaloniki, we again are using the operations of ACS, the largest Greek parcel delivery company, and looking at it from the perspective of multiple delivery zones, multiple remote operations where we can bring into the city into these areas a much closer to the citizens' delivery so that they can do parcel pickup by themselves. And what we have found is both through the operation and through the simulation, because some of this is simulated. We could not put parcel lockers in every zone in the city in the timeline or in the cost that we had within the project. We have demonstrated that there is significant benefit in both reduction of CO2 as well as in user satisfaction, which I think is a major element here in all of these activities. How much does the consumer of the service feel good about having that kind of service? Is the service reliable? Is it regular? Is it something that they can trust? So we were quite happy with what came out in Thessaloniki, and it continues to move forward again, as you heard, with the DISCO project. To manage and control all of this, a platform was developed, a transferability platform, and you'll understand that in the term in a second when I talk about what our objectives are to transfer the findings to new cities. But we developed a platform for planning, for digital twins, and for building out a blockchain and smart contract infrastructure. So those cities that implemented, that I've been talking about, implemented the services, the more what I would call delivery-focused services, utilize this platform for optimizing the delivery routes and for also making decisions on any variations that might occur during the course of the day for the deliveries. Using the blockchain itself and the smart contracts, they measure their KPIs, and they get this all in a nice, pretty dashboard against which they monitor and manage what's going on. The idea of the transferability platform is to take the knowledge that we learned from the first 4 living labs and transfer that to the following living labs, which is right now where we are in the project. We have finished the first 4 living labs, and we are looking at transferring that knowledge and demonstrating it in follower living labs in cities like Barcelona and Karlsruhe in Germany. We have also worked in the project with two other projects, and you will hear from them in a few minutes, looking at how do we link together all of the work that we have done so that we're not doing redundant things, but building on each other's knowledge and building on that knowledge to the benefit of the cities that will be utilizing this in the future. The whole concept of URBANE is upscaling. So we aren't stopping at the follower living labs. We're looking at how do we build out a European citywide acceptance of these ideas so that they take and put them into practice, rather than seeing it stop at the end of the project, but actually see it evolve into something that truly improves this logistics operations within the cities. So this is where we are. Our future hope and impacts are going to be ones that improve the capabilities, the environment, and the science behind all of the activities that we have taken a focus on. We're also looking at trying to make sure that we build a better relationship with the private logistics companies so that they can participate and not feel like they want to stay out or just manage their own business and not play in the game. We're looking at also helping the cities themselves build their SOLPs so that they can practice what they preach, which is to really improve the environment. So we're looking at a number of impacts going forward, including the rollout and upscaling to other cities within Europe. So with that, hopefully I made up some time here. I want to thank you. And again, when we have the discussions at the end, I hope you ask some good questions.
Thank you, Rod. Indeed, we have various projects at different timelines in their implementation, and I think what was interesting to see for you is you highlighted that there's 2 applications for patents also, which will be coming out of the project. So it's very good to see this in terms of exploitation of the results coming out of the project here. And also interesting to see these figures in terms of CO2 reductions from traditional vans compared to the solutions, what you are doing in the project. So thank you very much for that. Next, we go on to the DECARBOMILE project. For that, we have Clarissa Reali. Clarissa is an engineer in the field of urban planning and sustainable development. She's working at Interface Transport as part of the coordination team for the DECARBOMILE project. And she has a solid knowledge and background on urban networks, territorial and international engineering. And she's also involved in various levels of the management of the DECARBOMILE project. So Clarissa, thank you very much, and over to you now.
So hello everyone. I am really glad to be here today to present to you the DECARBOMILE project. It's our first time here, so I hope this will be interesting to you. So DECARBOMILE is about decarbonizing the last mile logistics, and we are going to see first the project presentation. So as you can see here on the map, you can see our consortium. We have 31 partners divided on 11 countries in Europe. So we have municipalities, logistic operators, universities, and a lot of others partners. And we are 2.5 years into the project. You can see on the map also that the green dots are our 4 living labs where we are going to implement use cases. So our 4 living labs are Logroño in Spain, Nantes in France, Hamburg in Germany, and Istanbul in Turkey. And the black dots will be the satellite cities that I will come back to a bit later in the presentation. So yeah, the DECARBOMILE project is really supported by 5 pillars. And those are, I think, the core of our project. So the first one is about collaboration, and I think it's the most interesting one and important one, because we really think that enhancing collaboration throughout the different partners involved in urban logistics is really key to enhance urban logistics. So yeah, this is the first pillar. The second pillar is about sustainable business model, of course. The third pillar will be about urban integration and space management. The fourth one will be regulations, because it's also a key aspect to have in mind when we want to enhance urban logistics. And the last pillar will be about creating a collaborative platform, kind of the same as the other projects are doing, where all the logistic stakeholders and partners will be able to access, share data, and access to different services. So as you can see here, we have all of our objectives, which are environmental and societal. Then, yeah, looking at the results, we do not have something really tangible for now, but hopefully soon we will have a lot of more concrete impact. So first of all, to begin with just some key figures, we have 11 use cases that have been defined in the 4 living labs. We have conducted 20 workshops based on this first pillar of collaboration with local stakeholders and using co-creation methods. And we have 19 stakeholders that are engaged in the use cases. And what is a good point, I think, is that we have about half of them that are outside, external to our consortium. And this is something really important, I think, because it's often hard to include external stakeholders in a European project. So here we are happy to say that we have half of these 19 stakeholders that are outside of DECARBOMILE. There is 5 innovative equipment that will be tested in the frame of those use cases, and 6 digital tools developed and as well tested in the use cases. So now, what about these use cases? So here is the 4 living labs. I will just highlight one of the main use cases in each of them. So in Nantes, what is really interesting is that the municipality wants to integrate and create a mobility station that will be kind of an hybrid station looking at different stakeholders and providing different services. So here we want to provide for logistic stakeholders load breaking points, for craftsmen a place where they can store tools and materials and also test some cargo bikes to deliver and to go to their construction site in the city center. And also citizens will be able to access to this mobility station to park their bike and to access to a repair area. Now in Istanbul, we have in the consortium Migros, which is one of the main food distributors of the city, and we want to integrate in their current operation psychologistics. This is something really unusual in Turkey, and because the city is really there is high congestion and traffic, but here we really want to try to implement cargo bikes that will decarbonize their logistics. And for that, we have also some specified digital tools that will be dedicated to psychologistics, so helping them to adapt their operations for psychologistics. In Logroño, we have a strong focus on local merchants, and we have in the San Blas market, which is one of the main markets in the city, the basement of this market that will be renovated to place a urban logistic hub. So this hub will be dedicated to delivering the goods of these merchants using a psychologistic operators, and those deliveries will be for free for them, and they will be provided for free by the municipality during the pilot tests. So with this, we really want to try to test a new delivery process and method, and to help those merchants to try to decarbonize and consolidate their deliveries, rather than doing each of them deliveries with their own trucks. Finally, in Hamburg, what we want to achieve is river logistics using the canals of the city. So here we have DPGHL, which is one of the main operators in the city, who will deliver parcels thanks to a barge that is developed from the project, and we'll be also having cargo bikes to do the last mile. So the barge will be in the middle of the logistic chain, and the cargo bikes will be at the end. So this is one of the examples of the multimodal logistic chain. Now I wanted to focus a bit more on ICT tools and equipment that are going to be developed. So here is the panel of all of our innovations. So you can see we have the barge that is developed especially for Hamburg and that will be tested in this city. And this barge is actually developed in Ghent. So this is the first satellite city. So the barge is developed in Ghent, tested in Ghent, and then will be delivered to Hamburg to deliver the parcels of the PDHL. We also have Fleximodal, which is one of our main hardware provider in the consortium. They are developing cargo bikes, mobile hub, and pallet containers. Then we have Intelligent Parking, who have developed a dedicated logistic hub to be implemented in Logroño and some lockers. Now looking at ICT tools, we have forecasting tool. So this forecasting tool will help especially Migros to adapt their operation to psychologistics, looking at how much they can count, how much they can forecast deliveries in a day and to adapt then their delivery tours with cargo bikes. We also have some network design algorithm, which is quite interesting when we have one psychologistic operators that want to implement a new hub. So what is the best location for this hub? Looking at catchment area, at route optimization, and other hypotheses. So this algorithm can calculate what is the best location looking at different constraints. Then we have a dedicated application that will manage the access to the lockers and the hubs. And finally, we have a track and trace and monitoring tool, which helps, so you can see it's at the bottom of the page. We can put on vehicles some trackers that then send data to this tool. So we can visualize on the map, kind of a heat map of the deliveries and the customers of one operator, and then better understand the patterns of the deliveries, but also better optimize the routes. Finally, one main tool will be the digital twin. We'll have one for each of the living labs, and this digital twin aim at gathering all of the ICT tools that I've just presented on one platform, and then we can showcase different simulation and calculate different scenarios. So here, for example, it's in Logroño, where we are calculating the better routes to be done by the logistic operators. It's quite technical, and I'm not a specialist here, but this is what we are doing. Finally, I wanted to showcase the Sustainable Last Mile Logistics Cluster in which we are member with GreenLog and URBANE. As DECARBOMILE, we are leaders of the Working Group 3, which is about living labs and demonstration. And we share knowledge and exchange experience on, as you can see, for example, stakeholder engagement, use case implementation, collaboration within the use cases. And we want soon to discuss about impact assessment and provide a common list of KPIs that will be relevant for our 3 projects. The other 2 working groups are the work group 1, looking at technical aspects led by URBANE, and the work group 2, looking at communication, dissemination, and exploitation led by GreenLog. Finally, mid to long-term expected impact of the project. So as I said, we do not have something really tangible, but what I can present to you first is some KPIs that have been already reached, because they are like pre-operational KPIs. So for example, we have 10 use cases that are planned with cargo bags delivery. Also, 4 use cases are planned with pickup options, so looking at lockers, for example. We also have 11 city-tailored business models for urban consolidation developed, so 1 for each use case. And what is also an interesting KPI, I think, it's about 24 locations that have been positively evaluated for logistic activities in all 4 living labs. So here we really want to showcase that there is some space that can be utilized in the cities for urban logistics. And finally, I wanted to showcase the guidelines for upscaling pilot models, which is one of the deliverables to come at the end of the project. It will be part of the work package 8, which is one of the last work package of a project looking at impact assessment. So we want to provide replication guidebook, which will collect all of our knowledge that we are going to create and share in this project. So for example, we have a white paper analyzing the social and economic sustainability models implemented in different Levy labs. Also recommendation to ensure upscaling and replication, also looking at regulation at different levels. And finally, we will lead some workshops with policymakers, and the results from this workshop will be displayed in this guideline. So this is a really exciting deliverable that I think will be quite good and hopefully will be helpful for other cities in the future. And that's it for me. Thank you very much, and do not hesitate to contact me if you want more info or to exchange on this subject.
Thank you very much, Clarissa, indeed. Your last slide about recommendations, I think this is something also, one of the main outputs that will come from the project related to the recommendations you provide for sustainable urban logistics plans, sustainable urban mobility plans. So we look forward to seeing more about that coming forward in the project. Thank you. Then next we go to the GreenLog project, our last project presentation before we go to the question and answer round. And for that we have Amalia Ntemnu. Amalia is a project manager at net company Intrasoft, Research and Innovation Development Department. She has experience in European projects spanning various fields such as ICT, health, transport, mobility, food and security. She's a member of the coordination team for the GreenLog project, and her extensive experience includes ICT and logistics within European frameworks, which emphasize smart, safe city solutions and innovative applications across various sectors. So, Amalia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Yannick, for the introduction. Thank you very much also, Yannick, and to the organizers for this, for having us here in this conference. Can I use this, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. So, GreenLog is the last project that will be presented today. However, you will see how many similarities and links it has with other projects. So, from my side, I would like, let's say I will try to present more or less the results, and I will focus more on that rather than the general scope, which, as you will realize, is the same as the other projects within the cluster, but also other projects in this session. So, GreenLog is a project that started on January 1st, 2023, and will last until June 2026. Actually, it consists of, the consortium consists of 30 partners that represent 10 European countries. It has been funded under the same call with DECARBOMILE and URBANE, and received funding from the European Commission over 6.3 million euros. As you can see from the composition of the consortium here, we have a lot of partners from the academia, IT companies, logistics service providers, cities, networks of cities, and others, that we have all the same goal to accelerate, let's say, systemic changes and create ecosystems that are economical, social, and and social sustainable. So I will try to give you an overview of the objectives, which are actually 5, the most important objectives of the projects. So we have all these to be achieved and implemented in different work packages. You will see in the next slides that we have somehow presented them as results. So first we have the design. The first objective is the design of sustainable and cost-efficient cooperative last-mile delivery solutions. First, we have the design of the solutions. The second objective is related to the design of the planning technologies in order to test and configure last-mile interventions in order to... Sorry, I need some water. Sorry for that. Okay, so the third objective is related to the design of the Sorry. Okay. So again, these 5 objectives of the GreenLog project are related to the realization of solutions that I will try to present you some results right now. So the timing of this conference is actually very good because 10 days ago we had the plenary meeting that took place in Barcelona. So a lot of partners had the opportunity to present the results that are actually the outcomes of the first demonstration phase of the project. And here, as you can see, we have the solutions, the planning technologies that have been implemented as part of Work Package 2 and the second objective that I tried to present earlier. So first of all, here we can see that we have also a data space, the GreenLog City Logistics data space that is related and actually the place where the data are integrated and harmonized in order to be accessible by the respective components and the partners that will utilize them in other solutions. So we have first this, and this is very interesting to see that Elena and Paul also mentioned, and not only these projects presented similar solutions. So this is also very interesting to see and to investigate also and to further discuss how we can collaborate and harmonize some things together. We have also a suite of demand prediction models that are using machine learning and data analytic approaches. We have a set of day-to-day optimization algorithms for deployment and scheduling of mobile depots, solutions that you will see also later in the future in the next slides that have been evaluated in practice on site. We have also the simulation framework models and AI models, which are also part of the planning technologies that we are developing within GreenLog, all of which are integrated in the GreenLog Augmented Intelligence Modeling Platform, which is actually the tool that integrates all these separate components, which is actually a web application in order to enhance urban logistics through all the offerings that are provided through the respective components, which are actually demand prediction, enhanced route optimization, but also simulation-based decision-making. The second, let's say, most important group of solutions are related to the real-time and connected technologies. So in the project, we offer logistic as a service marketplace, which is a solution through which we try to connect supply and demand. It integrates components like dynamic pricing, but also nudging service. And this is something that is quite useful, and we have, regarding this specific platform, we have already received significant results from real users in Flanders Living Club. I will say more things later. We have the first version of the nudging, nowcasting and forecasting engine is also something that has been implemented along with multimodal and cross-dynamic rerouting algorithms, which are also components of the GreenLog platform. And we have also Bring Your Own Device, which is actually a set of SDKs, which LSPs, logistics service providers, can download to their applications, to their phones, and can monitor parcels, they can register parcels, log events, but also see some optimal routes that they can follow. All of these components and services are integrated within the GreenLog last mile digital control tower. Actually, this is the platform, the GreenLog platform, where all the components are integrated, and it provides situational awareness and operation coordination to the end users, which are logistics service providers and city authorities. The thing is that through this real-time data analytics, predictive models, and last marketplace metrics are provided, and we try to enhance operational efficiency and encourage environmental responsible practices with this. And now going to the living clubs, actually here you can see some photos from 3 living clubs. Just to mention for your information, there are 5 in GreenLog. We have Barcelona, Oxfordshire, Ispra, Athens and Flanders, with 3 areas involved, Mechelen, Leuven and Ghent. But also for your information, because it is not included in the presentation, we have also 3 follower cities, Aret, Helsingborg and Valga, which are actually the cities that face, of course, different urban challenges and will adopt and use the solution and will adopt the transferability framework that we're developing within the project. So now, currently, as I mentioned before, we are at the end of the first demonstration phase. We are about to finish it in the coming days, and many of the solutions have been showcased and evaluated with the, let's say, whole potential and the full and the integrated platforms and their evaluation to happen during the second phase that will start in October 2025 and will last for 6 months. So as you can see here in Barcelona, and what I'm trying to present with this slide here is that we have some autonomous technologies in last mile logistics that can have been evaluated. In Barcelona, we try to showcase multimodality in last mile deliveries. So we engage public transportation within the operations, and one of the use cases that has been implemented already is the usage of a robot, which actually replaces the rider at the end of at the last stage, let's say, of the deliveries. In Oxfordshire, we have proof of concept already developed with micro delivery hubs and city autonomous cargo bikes, where electric vehicles are used, and also these movable micro-consolidation centers were they also realized in the area of Oxfordshire. And in Athens, in Ispra Living Lab, at the campus of GRC, there is also an interesting and a similar autonomous use case where the robot of Innovia is used to deliver deliveries of food from the central canteen to the offices of the GRC area. These are the three living labs, and I will also give you an idea of what is currently going on in Flanders and Athens. Here we have some results to present regarding the last marketplace, which is something that is used in Flanders. Recently, for approximately 2 months, over 400 people, citizens from Mechelen, a small neighborhood in Mechelen, used this last marketplace and tried to provide their personal preferences for the solutions for the deliveries. So the idea actually is that now we have the solutions that I present you right now are actually results that have been produced by the University of Antwerp, which analyzes those data. So the most interesting thing that I can share with you is that, okay, maybe we don't have some specific patterns to present based on the behavior of the deliveries. So there is no such pattern detected. However, there are some peaks, and we have identified Wednesdays and Fridays as the most popular, let's say, days for deliveries, and also the importance of lockers and micro-consolidation centers in order to pick up parcels. And the most important thing that I would also like to mention here is that there is this dynamic pricing mechanism which is embedded in last marketplace, which reveals that end users, actually citizens, make more sustainable choices, and they can be patient when they see that the options that they have are more sustainable, which is also something very important. Regarding Athens, here we have the multi-stakeholders collaboration, the concept that we implement. So we have different stakeholders, logistics service providers. Actually, we have FedEx and ACS, two competitors actually in the city of Athens, who share micro-consolidation centers, but also they use a white-labeled fleet and mobile depots in order to perform operations together. So from the information that we have so far and results that have been produced by the Athens University of Economic and Business, which analyzed those data, are we identified that there was a reduction to the total distance covered, but also a reduction of total time covered using this shared and realizing this collaboration. We identified also a total number of costs reduced, but also a reduction in the average emissions of CO2. Of course, you can see some graphs here, but I think that the most important thing is that this collaboration produce these very important numbers for the Living Lab and this concept of shared micro-consolidation center as well. So we have some information regarding the data space. I wouldn't like to stay here into details, because what I would like just to mention is that we try to follow some standards, which are actually some of which have already been covered by other projects as well. We also provide our own smart data models for the data space, and this is also something that makes the data space flexible to be reused and to be adapted maybe to other cases. And this is actually the direction that we would like to follow in order to be able to collaborate also with others. This is the slide that presents actually the collaboration. Clarissa and Rob already presented this, and as Greenlog, we coordinate, we lead working group 2, which is actually related to the joint dissemination, communication, and exploitation. However, we try to contribute as much as we can also to others with our consortium. We have participated in many events together, and we have planned a lot of other activities in the future. And regarding the expected impacts, again, as I mentioned, at this stage of the project, we cannot present actually the results, the impacts that have been measured. However, I think the most interesting thing here is to see that we have KPIs that we expect to be measured also in a specific living lab. And this is also something that can be compared also to others. And we have that as a baseline for the results that will follow that will come in the future. Long-term impacts, okay, quite generic. However, I think that they are more or less aligned with the rest of the projects. We support openness. Just to mention that apart from the usual societal and environmental that are quite prominent based on the information that I presented earlier, that we have also some others that can reflect also can, let's say, make them the most in order to have this cluster collaboration. Thank you. If you need anything else, and if you have any a question, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amalia. I saw there in your living labs, particularly the one for Athens, you mentioned there this reduction in distance covered and also the reduction in total stops along the routes. This would then also lead to a reduction in CO2 emissions, so I think this is very positive for the project. And also for Barcelona, the integration of urban logistics with public transport, I think, is a good case to optimize existing transport networks. So I think that's also a very interesting case. So first I would like to thank our 6 speakers for their presentations also. We now have some time for questions and answers. And for that, I would like to hand over to Yanying from Alice to guide us through this. So please, Yanying.
And thank you very much, and thank you for staying so late with us together. And first, I would ask from the audience, is any questions? Okay, so we see 2 questions. Could we have the lady first, and then over to you? Would you please mind to tell your name and organizations you work for?
Of course. So this is Ahve Jahartavi Karji. I'm the head of the Center of Automotive Engineering at the University of Surrey, and I'm also the technical coordinator of the Escalate project. Thank you very much for this nice, interesting project, because we also cover some development of logistic tools for heavy-duty vehicles in our project. So it was very interesting to see the urban concept. My question is, you know, we see a commonality among all the projects regarding the digital twins. But when we develop the digital twins are built based on the specific infrastructure, traffic conditions, or the regulatory, requirements of these specific cities. I would like to understand how does these digital twins can help you to upscale the solutions to the cities, other urban cities, right, which has different, traffic conditions, which has different regulatory conditions, and etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I probably will invite Rod to answer this first, and then if any other speakers were willing to answer this.
There are multiple definitions of what a digital twin is, okay? And many of our implementations that you hear are specific to a city. They are designed for that city, a simulation model built for particular elements and then unique to the city itself. The various platforms, I'll speak to the URBANE platform. It is a generalist platform. So in other words, it's configurable. You can build whatever city on top of it. Other models may be more specific, but the concept of how do you scale is to build a generalist-like platform with real-time ingestion of data so that you can see and manage your operations, as well as go offline to do decision analysis, what-if analysis. Those types of things have to be built in when you start out. We were fortunate enough in the URBANE platform to inherit a platform that had been developed generally in another project and then use it so its general capabilities are configurable, but that's not always what happens. I can't speak for how the design is in the other projects, but it can be either way. You can find different scalability capabilities based upon how the design for the platform started out.
Yeah, thank you, Rod. Yeah, and Angela.
Yes, in our case, in Senator, I completely agree with Rod. I see it like a puzzle. You have different pieces, and at the end, every city is different, but the pieces, the combination of them, it's going to be unique for each city. But at the end, you will have all of that parts for different scenarios. I mean, for example, in our case, that we have 4 different governance schemes. You have the optimization platform that's useful for any logistic operator. It could need some adaptation or some personalization to adapt it to another city, but it can be easily solved.
Thank you. Oh, Paula, you want to add something?
Yeah, just to complement, maybe, as I said, in DISCO we are using the digital twin as a planning tool. So what can be scalable is and applicable to other cities is the type of scenarios that we are building to check which type of measure is possible to implement. So the type of scenarios, but also the type of data that are needed to create these scenarios and how to get this data. So for instance, what we are doing is Copenhagen in this case has more than 20 agreements with the logistic operator. So what we are now trying to do with the twinning cities is to transfer this type of agreement to the twinning so that they can try to use the same type of agreement for the same logistic operator, and then they are collecting the data. Then, of course, if they have the digital twin, they can use like the same type of data to input their digital twin and to try to apply the same scenarios. This is something that can be built, for instance.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it's more like a framework then, right?
Yeah,
Rather than,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, than the digital twin itself. And maybe just a very quick question as a follow-up. Is there also bidirectional communication between these two or not? With the physical asset and the digital asset?
I'm not sure. And what do you mean exactly?
You know, when we name it as digital twin, as we just discussed, there are different definitions of the digital twins. Then this means that there should be a bidirectional communication between these two, right?
Yeah,
so the physical asset and the digital asset.
Okay.
So is there a communication as well?
Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, I'm not the technical, of course, that is it, but I think yes, that the way in which the the Copenhagen, I make the example, they are make this connection among the two layers.
Okay.
So if there is a change in the infrastructure, then it is, let's say,
Reflected or
reflected.
updated.
Yeah, this was the case, for instance, again, the Copenhagen, they had a big change in the number of parking in the city center. So they input this change in the layer, in the digital twin, to reflect what is going to happen if you apply this measure now that there is this new configuration of the park.
I think Rod wants to add something.
Right. I think you're talking about, are you using the digital twin as a decision platform, or are you using it as an operational platform so that you can go
For
back?
both.
So you want bidirectional?
Yeah.
Okay. Most digital twins are unidirectional, even the ones that ingest real-time information, simply because that's the design structure. But you can think of building the digital twin, if you architect it correctly, where you can use it as an operational platform. So it takes information in, and if you see something, you can go and send a message back and say, hey, wait a minute, don't do that. That requires some different architectural design
Yes,
work.
exactly, exactly. That was my point, actually, because then you can make some decisions, but something can change, right? And then you need to communicate this in bidirectional way rather than, thank you very much. That's what I exactly mean.
No, yeah, in the center platform, it works in a bidirectional way. The City Council can include restrictions in terms of, for example, low emission zones, and it directly affects to the planification, and it can be also used by the operator as a operational tool to manage its logistics and affects to the routes, how to explain it. If the City Council declares a different low emission zone, it automatically affects, it's included in the optimization system that considers the electric vehicles and the pedestrianized routes available from the logistic operators and affects to the planification. And also information from data in real time of the logistic operators, for example, in Zaragoza, from both deliveries and vehicles are anonymized, and they can be seen in real time by the City Council with those maps that we have shared before.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we move to the second questions? And thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you. Mauro Dell'Amico from ICOR, Italy. First of all, thank you for the presentation, a very interesting overview of what is running in this domain. I will have a lot of questions, but I selected just two small questions. The first one is for Elena. You have presented your data space and what you have implemented with the connector that allow to share the data and so on. Clearly, you know that there have been a lot of European projects in this area. There are also running projects that also will present tomorrow in another session. So the question is how you have used the result from the previous project, if you have used this result, or you have done the work by yourself, and what kind of standard you have used. If you have used standard provided by the project or not. And the second question is for Rod. You have this nice pilot in Helsinki with the drones, the robots. My question is, where run these drones? In the normal streets, in the pedestrian area, in restricted area? Because you know, with the autonomous vehicles, one of the main issues are the legal issues. So this is my curiosity.
Thank you.
Sorry, if may I start? The data space we have developed in UNCHAIN was specifically developed for that. We are based on the ITSA architecture. We are not based in a different project. We are planning to have some communication with the EMDS because it is also the European mobility data space. And concerning the connectors, we modified it slightly, but we started from the connector developed by Fraunhofer. So this is the architecture we have used in the project.
Yeah, thank you. Over to Ro.
In Helsinki, we needed to get authorization from the city, but we did run the robots in a fairly contained area, but on public streets. That is not the general case, unfortunately. In our Karlsruhe implementation, unfortunately, we are not allowed because of the long-term analysis work, et cetera, that the city and the government agencies require. So we are doing that in a very specific, confined area. I think that one of the things that you will find in all of these activities is that there are certain regulations that have not kept up with the advances in potential technologies, innovative technologies, that probably need modification, and so because of the issues that they raise in trying to operate some of these technologies.
And any other speakers would like to add anything to these two questions? And any more questions from the audience? And there's one there. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question.
So, hi, John von Stamm from FIR at RWTH Aachen University. I'm also the coordinator of Project Remunet. I have a question regarding the URBANE project. So you highlighted the use of smart contracts and blockchain technology, and also the platform offering different services. I am wondering, who are you aiming for to be the operator of this platform? I mean, there have been a lot of, very famous blockchain projects already started with TradeLens, for example, but is this also something that you see as a challenge, choosing the right operator, or is it more on a city level or municipality? Thanks.
Very good question. The platform itself is designed for the city to use, okay? But to manage, I should say. It's designed for logistics service providers, whoever wants to sit in, connect to it, to have information passed back and forth. The blockchain and smart contract structure is there. It's an interesting implementation. We do dynamic contract construction, so the users can create their own, because contracts basically are just service level agreement managers or event managers, if you will, so that they can do their own management of KPIs and take action based upon what they see going on from delivery perspectives. But you could think of that as a parking management system, where you're trying to look at how many cars do I have in my parking facility or whatever. So it's a relatively general purpose platform that can be configured based upon how the city wants to use it. But the city would be the manager, not IBM or somebody else, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much. We have any more questions from the audience? I think the audience are very happy with all the answers. And so I have a few questions to all the speakers. And so now it started really difficult. I will start with Amelia. You have a robot, you have use of combination of passengers and the freight transport, you use railways for robots. Have you had any challenges in terms of regulations and the barriers?
Yeah, you can hear me, I'm guessing. Okay. So you're referring to Barcelona Living Lab, and this is actually the place where we have the involvement of this robot and where we engage this in the deliveries of goods using public transportation. Actually, it was actually the first thing that we were thinking about, how to tackle these challenges. At this stage, what we have done is that there is a protected area where we try to measure and simulate everything in order to be fully operational in the next stage. There are regulations that are related to the way that this will be how this robot will walk through the corridors in this public station, the Ferrocarrils area, and all this area in Barcelona. However, we try to engage both stakeholders from Ferrocarrils and others in order to create these protected, let's say, areas first, and then see how they can use this and how we can exploit that and keep this solution in the future. However, we are currently collecting all these requirements that we have in order to be fully aligned with the regulations that are applied there.
Thank you. So I move to DECARBOMILE, and I'm very happy to hear the consumers' engagement in has been mentioned in the projects. So how did you see the importance to engage with consumers and to use consumer engagement as a driver to deliver more sustainable urban logistic innovations in cities?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think it was really important to focus on end users when defining the use cases, to be sure that what we are implementing in the cities will really be relevant to the needs of the citizens. So for that, we, as I was saying, we implement different co-creation workshops, looking at different stages of the project and really seeking to answer to the needs of the citizens. And so I think it was quite successful, thanks, because we have a lot of stakeholders involved now, and they are really eager to start the implementation and to really test the services. And I think it's also really thanks to the involvement of the municipalities, like a private-public partnerships, where we can really propose the services for free to the users, so they can really test this, test the business models, and see if they want to continue it after the end of the project. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's very happy to see the engagement with the citizens. And do you have any best practices or lessons learned we can share with other projects, even there some are not yet focused on the citizen engagement yet?
Apart from doing the workshops, I'm not sure I have other ideas, but right now we are creating some communication campaigns dedicated to each of the living labs. So it's in process, but I guess it will be also useful to really sensibilize the citizens and let them know about what we are doing, and maybe engage more citizens in the use cases. But this is to be verified.
Yeah, thank you very much for your the contributions, and we hope that in the futures we can move the citizen engagement and give more focus of all the urban logistic, even urban mobility projects. So thank you for sharing your insight. And I move to Rod again about URBANE. And so we talk about this implementations. So did you see, like for example, if in Bologna, could you see how those micro-hubs or parcel lockers we implemented within the URBANE projects can be continued in use beyond the project period?
In Bologna, the intention is definitely to use them beyond the project period. This is not always the case. Simply because many times the implementations are done more in a temporary fashion, but these, the benefits were just recognized as too great to remove them. And the city itself went and said, we will put these in and we will buy them. So that also, that commitment also made sure that if it was successful, they would continue to operate.
Yeah, that's a very good examples. We see many demonstrations, brilliant demonstrations, but at the end when funding comes and then it's not able to continue. But it's good to hear that, how we can continue operations beyond the project fundings. And I move to Paula. I'm happy to hear, again, the new type of stakeholders, and you only mentioned here is real estate owner. And that is a new type of stakeholders in the urban logistics, overall in the logistics sectors, and I'm happy to hear that you have include them and even deliver solutions for you, for them. So share with us your experiences to engage with real estate owners and how you can help them and motivate them, and how their roles in the current urban logistic innovation ecosystem.
Yeah, so I think I can share two different experiences, the one from Thessaloniki and the one from Helsinki, because actually in Thessaloniki, the real estate owner is also part of the DISCO consortium. So, of course, it was quite more easier, no, to involve them. But, of course, for them, the added value was indeed that they have this big space, which was, like for the majority of the year, majority of the time, unused. So for them, is an added value, is a sort of win-win situation if you find this agreement with, in this case, logistic operator. On the other hand, we had Helsinki, in which the shopping center itself was not part of the project. So there it was really a big action from the partner of the Living Lab, which make different meetings with them, try to explain the added value to use this space, which otherwise was unused again. And also there, they needed to find an agreement on using part of the parking on the shopping center, because in the basement floor is where there is the transshipment, basically. So again, also in this case, it was really matter to present to them possible business model and so on, to try to convince them. I think that is more and more important to create in each city a sort of communities of different type of stakeholders in order to have the point of view of different actors that can benefit from this type of collaboration and sharing resources. I think this is the direction in which we are going in DISCO.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paula. So we continue the questions to UNCHAIN, and it's very interesting. You engage with big players, and you have an UPS, you have a DHL in your consortium. Have you experienced the different needs from the bigger players and the smaller players in terms of logistics service providers?
Yeah. Indeed, the needs from UPS, how they distribute, are completely different from the small companies. The user needs from the small companies were were analyzed through the Delphi analysis, through the interviews with the specific stakeholders external to the project, but for them, they are more interesting to have, for example, a longer time into one specific parking spot instead of just 15 minutes, because if they stay a little bit longer, they can manage all the delivery at the same time. And this is not the situation from DHL, who has more route planner, more facilities to to deal or to distribute their goods. So yeah, they are different.
Yeah, the capacities are very different, and we should address both big players and small players. And our experiences is small players might be more open to work with cities, but bigger players are less open. So congratulations, you involved with big players. And we also observe that big players are call for more harmonized urban access regulations. So the digitalizations of urban access regulations is key for them because they are not able to implement solutions only valid for single cities. So that's quite big differences, and this is also challenges for urban logistics projects. Angela, questions about the consolidated centers. So urban consolidated centers is an old concept. It's available already in the 60s, 70s, but many failed consolidated centers as well because many challenges. How did you see if you want to move forward consolidations and to make the urban consolidation centers successful?
Difficult to answer. Yes, first of all, interoperability of the lockers is crucial. Second, their location, it has to be analyzed, and in fact in the project, the City Council of Zaragoza is using the data from the project to analyze where to include the lockers and the new consolidation hubs that they want to implement in the city. So that's not a simple question. It has to be studied because at the end, if you put this consolidation center, the idea is to decarbonize the transport. But if the final client goes with a petrol vehicle to pick their delivery, just one trip for picking that shipment, at the end, is worse than the initial baseline.
Yeah, it's very challenging how we can make this work for everyone and to deliver the middle and the long terms and impacts beyond the projects. So thank you very much. I will ask every speaker, do you have additional point you would like to add? Rod, please.
Just a wonderful data point. I was in Seattle and talked to Amazon in October. Does anyone know what Amazon's fastest business is in the e-commerce, delivery model is in the e-commerce? The fastest growing. It is this afternoon. In other words, the fastest growing part of their e-commerce model is people who want it delivered this afternoon. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but this afternoon. We have a huge gap between what people say they are willing to live with and what they actually do. We somehow have to get over that because you can't have people saying, yes, I like green delivery, I'll have whatever delivery tomorrow or on Thursday or whatever, when the fastest growing part of the business is, I want it this afternoon.
Yes, I wanted to add to that. Yeah, that's true. And additionally, people, it's not open to pay more for a greener shipment. So that's also a big problem.
I've had probably over the last 10 years, 10 different studies by my students on what people are willing to pay for delivery. And it's almost nothing. It's almost nothing. It hasn't changed much either.
Yeah, thanks. Very good questions, Riz. And we recently have 2 new projects dedicated on the sustainable e-commerce. We definitely see engage citizens and consumers and to raise awareness of the environmental impact, the local impacts on air pollution and emissions and direct impact on health. For example, if you go to pick up your parcel from your parcel lockers and you can improve your health as part of your daily exercise, and that kind of positive, personalized benefits can have impact to drive the sustainable e-commerce. And it's almost 7 o'clock. I give the floor to Yannick to close this session.
So thank you very much, Yanying. And thank you very much to all of our projects. We had 6 project presentations here today. Together, they represent roughly, I think, around 50 million euros. I was making a quick calculation while we were discussing here now. Going back to the focus and to the aim of this session, in terms of digital innovative solutions, while you were presenting, I took a list of around 12 of these different innovative solutions, including, of course, data spaces, digital twins, which we discussed, blockchains, which we discussed in smart contracts, autonomous delivery robots, forecasting tools, bring your own device. I mean, I made a whole list of them, basically. So I encourage everybody here really to go further into the results of these projects, which you can see here now. They're all available in terms of results on their own websites, but also on the Moderators website of the European Union. Follow them also on social media so you can stay up to date with their latest news and results. And then finally, I wanted to thank all of yourselves for your questions. And then finally, just a last round of applause for our speakers. Thank you. And tomorrow the conference starts again at 9 o'clock in the morning for the first sessions. So with this you also know. Thanks a lot.